wild bursts of speed when Mary Montressor saw a chance of cutting in. It seemed to George that she was somewhat optimistic in the latter view, but he reflected that one could only die once. He thought it best, however, to essay no conversation. He preferred his fair driver to keep strictly to the job in hand. It was she who reopened the conversation, choosing the moment when they were doing a wild sweep round Hyde Park Corner. "How would you like to marry me?" she inquired casually. George gave a gasp, but that may have been due to a large bust that seemed to spell certain distraction. He prided himself on his quickness in response. "Oh, I should love it," he replied easily. "Well," said Mary Montressor vaguely, "perhaps you may someday." They turned into the straight without accident, and at that moment George perceived large new bills at Hyde Park Corner tube station. Sandwiched between grave political situation and Colonel in dock, one said, "Society girl to marry Duke," and the other, "Duke of Edge Hill and Miss Montressor." "What's this about the Duke of Edge Hill?" demanded George sternly. "Me and Bingo? Oh, we're engaged." "But then, what you said just now." "Oh, that," said Mary Montressor. "You see, I haven't made up my mind who I shall actually marry." "Well then, why did you get engaged to him?" "Well, just to see if I could. Everybody seemed to think it would be frightfully difficult, and it wasn't a bit." "Very rough luck on Bingo," said George, mastering his embarrassment at calling a real live duke by a nickname. "And not at all," said Mary Montressor. "It'll be good for Bingo. If anything could do him good, which I doubt." George made another discovery, again aided by a convenient poster. "Why, of course, it's Cup Day at Ascot. I should have thought that was the one place you were simply bound to be today." Mary Montressor sighed. "Oh, I want a holiday," she said plaintively. "Why, so did I," said George, delighted. "And as a result, my uncle has kicked me out to starve." "Then in case we marry," said Mary, "my 20,000 a year may come in useful." "It will certainly provide us with a few home comforts," said George. "Talking of homes," said Mary, "let's go in the country and find a home we'd like to live in." It seemed a simple and charming plan. They negotiated Putney Bridge, reached the Kingston bypass, and with a sigh of satisfaction, Mary pressed her foot down on the accelerator. They got into the country very quickly. It was half an hour later that, with a sudden exclamation, Mary shot out a dramatic hand and pointed. On the brow of a hill, in front of them, there nestled a house of what house agents describe, seldom truthfully, as old-world charm.